Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a church? Well, meet Samuel, a young boy who actually lived in God's house called the Tabernacle. Samuel didn't live there with his parents. Instead, he served under a kind but old priest named Eli. Every day, Samuel helped with small chores, sweeping floors, lighting lamps, and making sure everything was ready for worship. The Bible tells us that in those days, God didn't speak to people very often. His voice was rare. But that was about to change, and he was about to speak to a child. One night, Samuel laid down to sleep. The temple was peaceful, and the lamp of God still burned nearby. Then he heard something.
Samuel.
Samuel sat up and looked around. That sounded real, so he ran to Eli's room.
Here I am, Father. You called me?
No, Samuel, I didn't call you. Go back to bed.
So Samuel lay down again, but then he heard it a second time.
Samuel.
Here I am. You called me.
No, my son, I didn't call you.
This happened 3 times, and on the 3rd time, something clicked for Eli.
Samuel, if you hear the voice again, say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening."
Samuel nodded and went back to bed. His heart was pounding. Could it really be God calling him? Then it happened again.
Samuel. Samuel.
Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.
And God spoke. He gave Samuel a message, a warning for Eli and a call for change. It was a lot for a young boy to hear, but Samuel listened carefully and remembered every word. Samuel becomes God's messenger. The next morning, Samuel was nervous. He didn't want to tell Eli everything God had said, but Eli encouraged him.
Don't be afraid. Tell me everything God told you.
So, Samuel shared the message. Eli listened and accepted it. From that day on, God was with Samuel, and as he grew, everyone in Israel knew Samuel was a prophet, someone who heard from God and spoke his truth. Samuel was just a boy when God first spoke to him. He didn't expect it. He didn't even recognize God's voice at first. But when he did, he listened. And because he listened, God used him in amazing ways. God still speaks today, not always with a voice you can hear, but through his word, through prayer, through the people around you. So stay ready. Like Samuel say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Because God speaks to those who listen and obey. Dear viewers out there, this is the story of the beginning of the ministry of Samuel, one of the greatest prophets of Israel in history. More of this type of videos are underway, and if you would like to be notified when they are published, please subscribe and like and share this video. God bless you as you do.
A long time ago, in the land of Judah, there was a time when food was very hard to find. Because of a great famine, a man named Elimelech and his wife Naomi left their hometown of Bethlehem. They took their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, and moved to a nearby country called Moab, hoping to survive. In Moab, life was different, but they made it work. After some time, Naomi's husband, Elimelech, passed away. Then her 2 sons married Moabite women named Orpah and Ruth. But sadly, after about 10 years, both of Naomi's sons died too. Now Naomi was left alone, with only her daughters-in-law. Life had been very hard on her. But when she heard that the famine in Judah was over, she decided to go back home.
My daughters, go back to your own homes. You've been kind to me and my sons, but I have nothing left to give you. May the Lord bless you with new husbands and a good life.
Orpah kissed Naomi goodbye and returned to her family. But Ruth held on tight and would not let go.
Don't ask me to leave you. Where you go, I'll go. Where you live, I'll live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. I won't leave you.
Naomi could see Ruth wasn't going to change her mind. So the 2 women traveled together all the way of the forests and wilderness. Eventually, Naomi and Ruth arrived in Bethlehem. When they arrived, the town was buzzing. "Is that Naomi?" people asked, but Naomi, still grieving, said,
Don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara, which means bitter. The Lord has made my life very hard.
Naomi was heartbroken, but Ruth stayed by her side. It was the beginning of harvest season, and Ruth had an idea. In those days, poor people were allowed to pick up leftover grain in the fields. So Ruth went to work in a field owned by a man named Boaz.
Who is that young woman? That's Ruth, the Moabite woman who came back with Naomi. Listen, Ruth, stay here in my field. I've told the workers not to bother you.
And when you're thirsty, help yourself to the water.
Why are you so kind to me? I'm just a foreigner.
I've heard all about what you've done for Naomi. You left your home to care for her. May the Lord reward you for your kindness.
Ruth was amazed by Boaz's kindness. She ran home to tell Naomi everything.
Boaz is a relative of ours. He's one of our family's guardians. This could be a blessing.
As the harvest continued, Naomi came up with a bold plan.
Tonight, Boaz will be at the threshing floor. Go to him after he's eaten and fallen asleep. Lay at his feet. It's a way of asking him to care for you as a family redeemer.
Spread your covering over me, for you are a family redeemer.
May the Lord bless you, Ruth. You've shown even more kindness now than before. I will do what you ask, but first, there is one closer relative. I'll speak with him tomorrow.
The next day, Boaz met with the other relative in front of the town leaders.
Naomi is selling her late husband's land. You have the first right to buy it.
I will buy it.
But you also must marry Ruth, the Moabite widow.
Then I cannot. You take my right.
Then Boaz accepted to buy the land and also marry Ruth. So Boaz married Ruth. And together, They had a son named Obed. Naomi's heart was full of joy again. The women of the town also rejoiced with her. Obed would grow up to be the grandfather of King David, and many, many years later, from David's family would come Jesus, the Savior of the world. The story of Ruth reminds us that loyalty, kindness, and trust in God can turn even the darkest times into something beautiful. Ruth didn't just change her life. She became part of God's bigger story. And so can we. Dear viewers out there, that was the story of Ruth, a story of loyalty, love, and new beginning. You can become the Ruth of today, turning things around for good in your generation. If you're pleased by this video, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also like and share the video so your loved ones can also enjoy. Thanks for watching.
King Xerxes sits enthroned, a god among men, as his grand feast unfolds under the blazing Persian sun. Tables laden with exotic delicacies and jeweled goblets brimming with wine symbolize the king's boundless power and wealth. Servants become silken blurs as they navigate the throng, their every step a testament to the king's insatiable desires. Amidst the symphony of flutes and drums, laughter and clinking glasses echo, painting a vivid portrait of royal indulgence. In the radiant chambers of Queen Vashti, an ominous decree shatters the morning's serenity. The royal messenger haltingly delivers the king's command, casting a shadow of dread over the queen's regal composure. With icy resolve, Queen Vashti defies the king's order, her dignity unyielding in the face of subjugation. Beneath a veneer of regal composure, a tempest of defiance gathers within Queen Vashti, threatening to erupt. Within Xerxes' opulent throne room, the king's fury descends like a storm upon his trembling advisors. Advisor 1 nervously suggests, "Your Majesty, Vashti's defiance sets a dangerous precedent." Advisor 2 warns, "If the queen can disobey, what's to stop every woman in Persia from doing the same?" Advisor 3, with a hint of urgency, pleads, "We advise you to issue a royal decree, deposing Vashti and choosing a new queen." Xerxes' thunderous silence amplifies the tension, his advisors awaiting his earth-shattering decision. Messengers thunder through Susa's streets, their cries reverberating, igniting a kingdom-wide quest for a new queen. From the farthest reaches of the realm, young women converge, their hearts pounding with dreams and doubts, drawn toward the palace's imposing embrace. The towering palace gates loom, a formidable threshold where destinies are poised to be rewritten. The young women are brought to the towering palace gates, where the weight of their dreams and the kingdom's expectations converge. Sunlight bathes Mordecai home as he passionately imparts the essence of Jewish identity to young Esther. With a gentle voice tinged with caution, Mordecai softly warns, "Esther, remember who you are. Never forget your heritage." Mordecai warns Esther of the potential dangers with a gentle caution. "But you must be careful, my dear. Not everyone will understand." Laughter echoes through the room, a vibrant testament to the unbreakable bond between Mordecai and Esther. At the formidable palace gates, Esther is chosen, her heart pounding as Mordecai pulls her aside, his face a canvas of deep worry. In a hushed plea, Mordecai whispers with urgency, "Remember who you are, Esther." Mordecai sternly finishes his warning. "Do not reveal your identity to anyone within these walls." Esther navigates the palace with a quiet grace, embodying a calming influence amidst the opulence. Her kindness and respect towards the palace attendants ripple through the palace, earning her admiration. Palace attendants whisper about her special qualities, a mix of awe and curiosity coloring their hushed tones. Esther advances into Xerxes' throne room, her poise, a beacon of serene resolve amidst the opulent grandeur. Xerxes watches, his gaze drawn by Esther's natural grace and quiet strength. King Xerxes is impressed and chooses Esther as his new queen. In the radiant city of Susa, a Jewish orphan girl is crowned Queen of Persia, marking an ascent beyond imagination. Esther, once an obscure figure, now stands adorned in royal regalia, a transformation that defies fate. The weight of the crown settles upon her brow, a symbol of her new destiny and the hopes of her people. Near the palace gates, Mordecai lurks behind a pillar, his unease deepening as he eavesdrops on a treacherous conspiracy. The guards, shrouded in secrecy, plot the unthinkable, the assassination of King Xerxes. Mordecai, eyes widening in horror, vanishes into the bustling crowd, knowing the king's life hangs in the balance. Esther's world shatters as she reads Mordecai's urgent message, the weight of the impending doom casting a shadow over her face. With newfound resolve, Esther prepares to confront the king, ready to defy fate and expose the deadly plot. In Xerxes' grand throne room, justice delayed leaves Mordecai's heroism unacknowledged, his name merely etched in royal records. Mordecai's name, now a silent testament to valor, languishes in the annals of the kingdom, awaiting its moment of recognition. The day ends with a somber reminder that true deeds often wait in the shadows for their deserved light. In the expansive palace courtyard, Haman marches with unwavering confidence, anticipating the customary reverence from all. His smug gaze sweeps across the assembled figures, a palpable arrogance radiating from his posture. Haman's triumphant anticipation abruptly turns to icy fury as his eyes fix upon Mordecai, who stands defiant in his refusal to bow. Mordecai's unwavering defiance cuts through Haman's veneer of invincibility, sparking a silent, seething rage. In his opulent residence, Haman seethes with fury, his rage palpable as he grapples with Mordecai's defiance. In a fit of uncontrollable anger, Haman's fist crashes against a table, sending expensive goblets trembling. A nervous servant reveals the truth. Mordecai is Jewish. In the dimly lit residence, shadows waltz across Haman's face, a canvas of simmering fury and brewing malice. Consumed by a fiery rage, Haman's eyes glint, with sinister intent as he paces restlessly. His restless pacing amplifies the tension, each step echoing the dark thoughts swirling within him. In the opulent throne room, Haman's voice, laced with deceit, echoes as he unveils his sinister scheme to King Xerxes. With calculated gestures, Haman portrays the Jews as a disruptive force, weaving a tapestry of lies before the unreadable gaze of Xerxes. Xerxes listens, his expression an inscrutable mask, as Haman's venomous words paint a dark picture of supposed rebellion. In Xerxes' throne room, Xerxes signals with a grand gesture, his bejeweled fingers catching the flickering torchlight. A silent decree etches itself upon Xerxes' face. The narrator declares, Xerxes grants Haman permission to do as he sees fit. Under the vast sky of Susa, royal decrees are unfurled, casting a shadow of doom across the land. Bearing the royal seal, each letter carries a chilling echo of annihilation. The grim message spreads like wildfire, each word a spark igniting a blaze of terror. In every province, the same decree resounds. On a day marked in blood, all Jews are to be exterminated. At the majestic city gates, Mordecai is engulfed in profound grief, tearing his garments in a raw display of despair. His mournful cry pierces the air, echoing his anguish through the bustling city. The city gates loom large, a silent witness to Mordecai's heart-wrenching sorrow. Near the bustling city gates, Mordecai's face is a canvas of urgency as he prepares a message, his hand betraying a slight tremor. With a heart full of hope and anxiety, Mordecai whispers, "Esther, you must appeal to the king." He implores, "Our people's fate rests in your hands." Sunlight floods Esther's chambers, yet shadows of dread cling to her as she anticipates a perilous encounter. Esther's face is etched with worry, revealing the weight of her desperate gamble. Esther's voice barely a whisper, she contemplates the grave stakes. Approaching the king unsummoned? It could mean death? In the serene confines of her chambers, Esther grapples with Mordecai's profound words, their weight pressing heavily upon her. A chilling realization dawns upon Esther. Her rise to queen may not have been a twist of fate, but a divine appointment. Mordecai's message echoes in the silent chamber, revealing, "She may have been made queen for this very purpose." Bathed in the gentle glow of candlelight, Esther stands resolute, her face a canvas of unwavering determination. The profound weight of destiny descends upon Esther, as the gravity of her impending actions casts a shadow over her. In the quiet confines of her chambers, Esther's silent resolve is underscored by a subtle blend of determination and concern. With quiet urgency, Esther commands, "Tell Mordecai to gather all the Jews and fast for me." Esther's words echo with a plea for unity and sacrifice, as the fate of her people hangs in the balance. In Esther's chambers, her resolute voice echoes, signaling a shift in destiny as her devoted servants rally around her. With unwavering conviction, Esther proclaims, "I declare that I and my servants will also fast." Esther boldly declares, "I will approach the king, even if it means my death," a harrowing vow that hangs heavy in the air. In the heart of the palace, Esther stands as a vision of royal grace, her eyes fixed on the king's chambers as tension fills the air. Each silent moment stretches into an eternity, as Esther anticipates the king's gaze, her fate hanging in the balance. In the grand throne room, King Xerxes beholds Esther, a smile gracing his lips. With a gesture of royal acceptance, King Xerxes raises his golden scepter, a symbol of power and favor. The golden scepter meets Esther's gaze, a silent promise of safety and acceptance. In the heart of Xerxes' throne room, the king of Persia, draped in regal splendor, sits upon his golden throne, a symbol of absolute power. With a sweeping gesture, Xerxes turns his attention towards Esther, promising her the unimaginable. The king proclaims, "Ask Queen Esther even to the half of my kingdom, it shall be granted." In Xerxes' opulent throne room, Esther stands, the air thick with exotic spices and unspoken tension. Before Xerxes, Esther exudes quiet courage amidst the intoxicating aromas and Haman's smug presence. Haman's smirk betrays a hidden agenda, adding a layer of duplicity to the lavish banquet. Bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, the opulent banquet hall becomes a stage for royal intrigue. King Xerxes, a figure of power and majesty, turns his piercing gaze upon Esther, his question echoing with unspoken anticipation. In a moment pregnant with unspoken tension, King Xerxes softly urges, "Esther, tell me again, what is your request?" In the opulent banquet hall, Esther extends a graceful invitation, her eyes hinting at a veiled resolve amid the dancing shadows. The air grows thick with anticipation as Esther promises to reveal her request at another banquet tomorrow, heightening the suspense. Esther softly declares, "I invite you both to another banquet tomorrow. I promise to reveal my request then." Fresh from the banquet, Haman parades through the palace courtyard, his smug grin radiating with arrogance and self-importance. His triumphant swagger grinds to a halt as his gaze collides with the unyielding figure of Mordecai, who remains defiantly unbowed. The mask of elation shatters, replaced by a chilling visage of simmering rage, as Haman's fists clench, knuckles stark white in the pale moonlight. In the dimly lit residence, shadows dance ominously as Haman's fury fills the opulent room. Consumed by rage, Haman commands, "Build a gallows, a tall one." Driven by vindictive resolve, Haman proclaims, "Tomorrow, I will ask the king to hang Mordecai on it." His wife watches with growing apprehension, sensing the darkness consuming her husband. In the serene stillness of her royal chambers, Esther kneels, her face bathed in the gentle glow of candlelight, a beacon of hope amidst looming shadows. Her brow furrowed in deep concentration, Esther clasps her hands tightly, her silent plea echoing in the opulent space. Amidst the weight of her people's fate, Esther implores, "O God, grant me courage." With unwavering resolve, Esther asks, "Guide my words. Let me be a vessel of your will." In the opulent chamber of King Xerxes, restless unease consumes him, casting shadows of worry across his brow. Amid the silent turmoil, Xerxes abruptly rises, his command echoing through the chamber, "Bring me the royal records." Hoping to find solace in the echoes of triumph, Xerxes requests, "Read to me. Perhaps the tales of our victories will lull me to sleep." In the dim royal records room, a lone scribe toils through the night, his world illuminated by the fragile dance of candlelight. Lost in the labyrinth of history, the scribe meticulously unearths Mordecai's pivotal act of heroism. Amidst the shadows, Mordecai's valorous actions stand out, revealing his role in thwarting a deadly assassination. In the heart of Xerxes' opulent bedroom, shadows dance with the flickering torchlight, enveloping the chamber in an atmosphere of regal mystery. Xerxes reclines upon his luxurious bed, surrounded by attentive servants whose silent movements amplify the solitude of their ruler. The torchlight flickers ominously, foreshadowing the turmoil that lies beneath the surface of Xerxes' royal facade. As dawn breaks over the palace courtyard, Xerxes, deep in thought, sits on his throne, shrouded in the mystique of royal power. Haman stands in silent anticipation before Xerxes, his fate hanging in the balance of the king's unspoken desire. Xerxes breaks the silence, his voice echoing through the courtyard with the weight of royal decree, asking, "What should be done for the man the king wishes to honor?" The air crackles with suspense as Haman processes the king's question, unaware of the twist of fate about to unfold. In the palace courtyard, Haman, blinded by vanity, eagerly anticipates the royal honor he believes is his. With unbridled arrogance, Haman declares, "I suggest a royal parade in my honor." In the sun-drenched palace courtyard, Xerxes issues a commanding decree, his power echoing through the realm. Haman, beads of sweat betraying his inner turmoil, masks his dread with a forced smile as he accepts the king's order. Xerxes' voice booms across the courtyard. "See to it, Haman. Let Mordecai be honored as befits a hero of Persia." In the sun-drenched city of Susa, Haman's humiliation becomes a spectacle as he leads Mordecai through jeering crowds. Mordecai, seated proudly on horseback, becomes a symbol of triumph amidst the chaos. Haman's strained voice echoes his forced proclamation of Mordecai's honor, a testament to his utter defeat. The jeering crowds of Susa mock Haman, amplifying his shame and celebrating Mordecai's ascendancy. Haman arrives home, his once vibrant robes now dulled, mirroring his crushing humiliation and utter defeat. His shoulders tell the story of the day's disaster. The grand banquet hall shimmers under the glow of countless candles, setting a stage of opulent anticipation. King Xerxes, radiant in regal attire, directs his expectant gaze toward Esther, heightening the hall's suspense. In a moment of breathless silence, all eyes converge upon Esther, amplifying the weight of expectation. In the opulent banquet hall, Esther's commanding presence silences the room as she prepares to reveal a truth that will shatter the gilded facade. With unwavering resolve, Esther's voice cuts through the hall. "I am a Jew, and Haman has plotted to destroy my people." The revelation hangs heavy in the air. As all eyes turn to Haman, the gravity of Esther's accusation turning the opulent hall into a crucible of judgment. The silence screams louder than any shout as the weight of Esther's words crashes down upon the banquet, forever altering the course of fate. In the opulent banquet hall, King Xerxes unleashes his fury, shattering the veneer of celebration with a thunderous slam. Goblets dance and wine cascades across the lavish tablecloth, painting a scene of chaos and spilled excess. His face, a mask of contorted rage, and eyes blaze with the threat of retribution, casting a shadow of fear over his courtiers. The silence in the hall grows heavy as King Xerxes demands, "Who is responsible for this outrage? Speak, or face my wrath!" In the opulent banquet hall, Esther's finger pierces the air, a beacon of righteous fury aimed squarely at Haman. Her voice, a steady stream of truth, begins to unravel Haman's carefully woven tapestry of deceit. Haman, caught in the unforgiving light of exposure, begins to squirm under the weight of Esther's accusations. Under the cloak of night, the palace garden becomes the stage for Xerxes' raging storm. Xerxes, consumed by a tempest of fury and calculation, paces restlessly beneath the silent gaze of the moon. In the stillness of the moonlit garden, the seeds of Xerxes' next move are sown in a mind ablaze with fury and ambition. In the opulent banquet hall, Haman's world crumbles as he kneels before Esther, his desperation palpable, his face, a canvas of abject terror, is etched with silent pleas as tears cascade down his cheeks. Haman's clasped hands, a symbol of desperate supplication, betray the extent of his downfall. Xerxes bursts back into the banquet hall, a tempest of fury brewing within him. His gaze fixates on Haman, whose proximity to Esther ignites a fiery rage. Xerxes' face contorts in a mask of fury, his features twisted with unrestrained anger. In a thunderous roar, Xerxes accuses, "You dare attack the queen!" In the opulent banquet hall, Xerxes' decree shatters the veneer of celebration as his command seals Haman's fate. With swift and brutal efficiency, guards seize Haman, his expression shifting from triumph to stark terror. Xerxes' voice echoes through the hall, his command sealing Haman's doom. Hang him on the gallows he prepared for Mordecai. In a dazzling spectacle, Mordecai, draped in royal finery, becomes the centerpiece of a jubilant procession through Susa. A decree unfurls, reversing the tides of fate and empowering the Jews to rise in their own defense. A tidal wave of jubilation engulfs the Jewish community, signaling a monumental shift from despair to defiant hope. As the echoes of the decree reverberate, a newfound resolve ignites,
promising redemption amid the specter of past injustices. And that was Esther, demonstrating loyalty to her uncle, Mordecai, in a foreign kingdom of Medes and Persia. Dear viewers out there, thanks for watching. This is part 1 of Esther's exploit. Watch out for the part 2. Please subscribe to the channel for more of such inspiring videos. Bye for now.
In the opulent stillness of King Xerxes' chamber, insomnia tightens its grip, casting the monarch into a restless sea of thought. His voice, a lonely echo in the vast chamber, shatters the night's silence as he commands the royal records be brought forth. Into the silent chamber, a palace attendant glides, his every step a testament to reverence and duty, bearing the weight of history in a scroll. Bowing low, the attendant approaches, an ancient record in hand, ready to whisper the tales of yesterday into the ear of a king haunted by tomorrow. Within King Xerxes' opulent bedroom, a palace attendant's grave words pierce the morning calm. As the palace attendant reads from the ancient scroll, a revelation unfolds. Mordecai unmasked a deadly plot against King Xerxes' life. A flicker of shock dances across Xerxes' face as the name Mordecai echoes through the chamber, sparking a forgotten debt. With a low, commanding tone, Xerxes demands, "Mordecai? I was never informed of his reward." In the sumptuous confines of King Xerxes' bedroom, the king awakens, surrounded by cascading silk sheets, a stark contrast to the anxiety of his royal advisor. King Xerxes, with a commanding presence, seeks answers. What honor was given to Mordecai? The royal advisor trembles before his king, delivering the chilling truth. No honor was given. In the opulent confines of King Xerxes' bedroom, Haman's ambition simmers beneath a veneer of obsequious respect. Haman bows deeply, his hidden desire to hang Mordecai a secret concealed behind a facade of loyalty. Xerxes, roused from slumber, languidly poses the question, "Haman, what should be done for someone the king wishes to honor?" In King Xerxes' opulent bedroom, Haman's eyes gleam with ambition, mistaking royal favor for himself. Envisioning a grand royal procession, Haman eagerly suggests extravagant displays, utterly convinced of his impending glory. The king's decree shatters Haman's illusion, revealing Mordecai as the intended recipient of the royal honor. Do this for Mordecai. Through the bustling city streets, Haman, a spectacle of forced humility, parades Mordecai on horseback, proclaiming his honor to the gawking crowds. Haman's voice echoes through the streets, each word a bitter pill as he announces Mordecai's triumph. The crowd's gaze shifts between Haman's feigned respect and Mordecai's dignified silence, amplifying the tension. Mordecai, regal and composed, becomes a symbol of quiet strength against Haman's thinly veiled animosity. In the opulent palace, Queen Esther's second banquet unfolds under the veil of night, the air thick with unspoken tension. The feast is set, but the joy is absent. King Xerxes, Queen Esther, and Haman are present, their expressions betraying the brewing storm. In the grand banquet hall, flickering candlelight dances across opulent tapestries, setting the stage for a moment of royal expectation. Adorned in royal garments, King Xerxes gestures grandly towards Esther, his expression a mixture of power and anticipation. With a voice that commands the room, King Xerxes declares, "What is your request, Esther? Ask, and it shall be given, even to the half of my kingdom." In the opulent banquet hall, a hush falls as every eye turns to Esther, her face a canvas of fear and unwavering resolve. Her voice trembles, echoing through the silent hall as Esther declares, "My life and the lives of my people are threatened." The silence hangs heavy, amplifying the tension as Esther's words resonate, threatening the banquet's veneer of celebration. In the opulent banquet hall, King Xerxes' fury explodes as his fist crashes against the ornate table, silencing the room. With eyes blazing, Xerxes roars, demanding to know, "Who dares?" Amidst the suffocating silence, Esther stands tall, her voice resonating with unwavering resolve as she declares, "Haman plots to destroy my people." Esther's brave proclamation cuts through the tension, revealing a plot that threatens to shatter the kingdom's peace. The vibrant banquet hall, once echoing with mirth and melodies, is abruptly silenced by the king's furious outburst. With a thunderous slam, the king's wrathful gesture sends shockwaves through the hall, his face a mask of fury. The royal guards, jolted by the sudden command, snap to attention, their eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and readiness. In a moment thick with dread, the king's command pierces the silence. "Seize Haman." In the silent palace courtyard, Haman's lifeless body dangles from the gallows, a grim testament to his downfall. The rope strains under the weight, a haunting creak echoing through the courtyard as the wood bears witness. Within the resplendent palace, Mordecai, draped in royal robes, stands poised to pen a transformative decree. Beneath the weight of his responsibility, Mordecai furrows his brow, contemplating the profound implications of the words he is about to inscribe. Mordecai drafts a decree, its words shimmering with righteous intent, empowering the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. The decree emerges as a beacon of hope, its words promising strength and protection to a people besieged by hatred. Across the vast empire, riders surge forth, carrying the weight of new decrees that will reshape destinies. The thunder of hooves echoes through bustling cities and serene villages, heralding change and uncertainty. Each scroll unfurled brings hope to some and despair to others, as the empire holds its breath. In Jewish homes, the gentle flicker of candlelight paints an intimate portrait of faith and resilience. With each flame ignited, a beacon of hope pierces the darkness, fortifying their spirits for the trials ahead. A quiet resolve settles over them as they steel their hearts, ready to confront the impending conflict with unwavering faith. The city streets, scarred by conflict, now resonate with the triumphant echoes of victory. Triumphant, the Jewish people stand united, their hard-won peace radiating through the air. The air fills with the first notes of festive music, heralding the joyous commencement of Purim. As narrator proclaims, peace is restored, and the yearly celebration of Purim begins. The narrator declares that dancing and joy fill the streets. From the palace balcony, Esther and Mordecai witness the jubilant Purim celebrations, a symphony of freedom and joy echoing below. Esther, her heart swelling with emotion, gazes upon her people and softly exclaims, "Look at them, Mordecai. They are truly free." Mordecai, with a knowing look, responds, "Indeed, Esther, God's hand has been upon us, guiding us through the darkness." Esther, her voice tinged with solemnity, declares, "We must never forget what he has done for us." Mordecai firmly answers, vowing, "Never. This day will forever be a testament to his faithfulness and our resilience." Mordecai strides through the city streets, his confidence a stark testament to his rise as King Xerxes' right-hand man. As he passes, the city's inhabitants whisper in admiration, their gazes capturing the essence of Mordecai's wisdom and integrity. In their minds, Esther's image flickers a symbol of courage and unwavering faith forever
intertwined with Mordecai's legacy. Dear viewers out there, that was the end of Esther's story in the foreign kingdom of Medes and Persia. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel for more. Also click the like icon and share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
One evening, Jesus said to his disciples,
"Let's go over to the other side of the lake."
But as they crossed the lake, the wind began to blow hard. Waves crashed over the sides of the boat. The sky turned dark, and the disciples began to panic. In the midst of this turmoil, Jesus was sleeping peacefully at the lower part of the boat.
"Teacher, don't you care if we drown?"
"Peace. Be still."
Just like that, the storm was gone. The water was still, the sky clear again.
"Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?"
"Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him."
Can you listen to and obey Jesus today? Even the sea obeys him. Jesus wasn't just telling stories. He was teaching us to listen with our hearts. Whether it's a seed growing in good soil or a voice calming a storm, God's truth can take root in us if we're willing to trust him. Jesus is speaking to you today. So, what kind of soil are you? Will you let God's word grow in your heart? Will you trust him in your storms? Jesus still calms storms today, not just the ones on the sea, but the ones in our hearts. All we need is faith. Those who have ears, let them hear. Trust Jesus. Listen with your heart. Let faith grow. Jesus was also concerned about non-disciples of his. Jesus and his disciples had just crossed a stormy lake. When they stepped onto the shore, they weren't met by a calm welcome. Instead, a man came running, shouting, crying out, wild and hurting. The man had many demons. This man lived among the tombs. People were scared of him. He had been chained, but he broke free every time. Something was tormenting him deep inside.
What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Please, don't hurt me.
Come out of this man, you evil spirit. What is your name?
My name is Legion, for we are many.
The demons begged Jesus not to send them far away. Instead, Jesus sent them into a herd of pigs nearby. Suddenly, the pigs rushed down a hill and into the water. The man was finally free, calm, restored. He sat beside Jesus, fully dressed, peaceful, and thankful.
Let me come with you, Lord.
No. Go home to your family and tell them what the Lord has done for you.
And that's what he did. He shared his story with everyone, and people were amazed. Now was a noble man named Jairus, about to lose his daughter. Jesus crossed the lake again, and a big crowd gathered. The man, Jairus, a synagogue leader, rushed to him.
My little daughter is dying. Please come and lay your hands on her so she can live.
As Jesus went with Jairus, a woman slipped quietly through the crowd. She had been bleeding for 12 years, and no doctor had helped her.
If I just touch his clothes, I'll be healed.
She reached out and touched his robe. Instantly, her bleeding stopped. Jesus, turning around gently, said, "Who touched me?"
Everyone is touching you, Master.
No, someone touched me with faith.
The woman came forward, trembling.
It was me.
Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace.
In Jairus' house, something would happen. But while still on the way, Jesus was still speaking, and messengers came from Jairus' house.
Your daughter is dead. Don't bother the teacher anymore.
Don't be afraid. Just believe.
At Jairus' home, people were weeping.
She's not dead. She's just sleeping.
The crowd laughed, but Jesus went into the room with the girl's parents and a few disciples. Jesus, taking her hand, said, "Little girl, get up." And she did. She stood up and walked around. Her parents were amazed.
Give her something to eat.
This is to assure believers of their hope in Jesus. Do you believe in the ability of Jesus? In just one day, Jesus brought freedom to a man no one could help, healing to a woman who had suffered for years, and life back to a little girl who had died. Jesus sees the broken. He hears the quiet prayers. He touches hearts and brings hope. No situation is too far gone when Jesus is near. Maybe today, you're waiting for healing, or hope, or just a gentle touch of peace. This story reminds us, Jesus still cares, and he still works miracles.
Dear viewers out there, this was how Jesus performed 3 spectacular miracles just in one day. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel. Also click the like icon and share the video with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
In a peaceful village, there lived a kind, wealthy man and his 2 sons. They had a beautiful farm, many workers, and everything they needed. The father loved both his boys very much and raised them with care and wisdom. But one day, something unexpected happened. The younger son walked up to his father, looking eager. Then he said, "Dad, I want my share of your money now."
I want to go out and see the world. This shocked the father. In their culture, you usually only got your inheritance after the parent passed away.
But the father, though heartbroken, agreed. His father, handing over a bag of coins, looking sad but loving, said, "If this is what you want, my son, take it."
But remember, my love for you never changes.
The young man packed his bags, left home, and traveled far away to a big city. At first, life was exciting. He threw big parties, made lots of new friends, and spent money like it would never run out. But the money eventually ran out. Soon, he had nothing left. No money, no friends. And to make things worse, a famine hit the land. The prodigal son, looking hungry, clothes dirty, walking into a pig farm, begged the farmer, "I need a job. Anything." The only work he could find was feeding pigs. He was so hungry, he even thought about eating the food he was giving the pigs. So, the prodigal son, sitting on the ground, tears in his eyes, lamented,
"What have I done? My father's workers eat better than this. I'll go home. I'll tell him I'm sorry. I'll say, I don't deserve to be your son. Just let me be one of your servants."
So, he started the long walk back home, heart pounding, unsure if his father would even want to see him. But while he was still far away, his father saw him. He had been watching the road every day, hoping his son would return. His father, running, arms wide open, tears in his eyes, joyfully shouted, "My son, you're home." Prodigal son, kneeling and crying, apologized.
"Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm not worthy to be your son." His father, lifting him up joyfully, consoled him, saying, "Nonsense. You were lost, but now you're found. Let's celebrate."
And they threw a big party music, dancing, food. The father gave him a clean robe, a ring, and new sandals. It was a day of joy, but not everyone was happy. The older brother, standing outside, was angry and complained, saying, "I've stayed here and worked hard all these years. You never threw a party for me." His father, walking out to him, gently explained to him, "Son, everything I have is yours."
But your brother was lost, and now he's back. That's something to celebrate.
This story isn't just about a son who messed up. It's about a father who never stopped loving, even when his child walked away. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we lose our way. But no matter how far we go, God is like that father, always watching, always waiting, ready to welcome us home with open arms. So if you ever feel lost, or like you've gone too far, just remember, there's always a way back. And love is waiting at the door. Dear viewers out there, that was the story of the prodigal son and a loving father. Don't be the prodigal son, even though God is ever loving. It is dangerous to remain in sin and expect grace to abound forever, as God will not let any sin go unpunished. For more educative Bible videos, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, and share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. A long time ago, in the land of Israel, two great armies stood facing each other on opposite hills. One was the army of God's people, the Israelites. The other was the army of the Philistines, their enemies. Down in the valley between them was a giant, a warrior named Goliath. He was over 9 feet tall, covered in bronze armor, and he carried a spear as big as a tree. Every day, he shouted across the valley, daring someone from Israel to fight him. Goliath stood tall and roared across the battlefield, yelling, "Choose one man to fight me. If he wins, we'll be your servants. But if I win, you'll be ours. He laughs cruelly. But no one in Israel dared to fight him. Not even King Saul. Everyone was terrified. Now, far from the battlefield, there was a boy named David. He wasn't a soldier. He watched over sheep, played music, and loved God with all his heart. One day, David's father asked him to bring food to his older brothers, who were soldiers in Israel's army. Take this bread and cheese to your brothers at the front line. See how they're doing. Yes, father, I'll go right away, David replied. David arrived at the battlefield. He saw Goliath shouting, "Is there no one brave enough to fight me? Come on, cowards!" David looked around in shock as the Israelite soldiers hid. Then he said to a nearby soldier, "Why is no one fighting him? Who is this man who dares to mock the army of the living God?" That's Goliath. And if you're smart, you'll stay far away. David walked up to King Saul's tent and boldly assured him, "Don't be afraid, your majesty. I'll fight this giant." King Saul was confused and asked, "You? But you're just a boy. He's been a warrior since he was your age." David replied confidently, "I've killed lions and bears to protect my sheep. God helped me then, and he'll help me now." Saul didn't know what else to do, so he let David try. He offered him his armor, but it was far too big. But when David tried it on, he stumbled and shook his head and replied, smiling, "I can't wear this. I'll go just as I am with my sling and my trust in God." David picked 5 smooth stones from a stream, put them in his pouch, and walked toward the giant. Goliath laughed as David approached. "What is this? A boy with sticks? Come here, and I'll crush you like a bug." David raised his voice so everyone could hear.
"You come at me with a sword and spear, but I come at you in the name of the Lord. Today, everyone will know there is a God in Israel."
David ran toward the giant, took 1 stone from his pouch, put it in his sling, and let it fly. Whoosh! The stone zipped through the air and hit Goliath in the forehead. Goliath stumbled and crashed to the ground with a mighty thud. The Philistine army gasped. The Israelites cheered. David stood over the fallen giant. With God's help, a young shepherd defeated a mighty warrior. That day, David showed everyone that it's not size or strength that wins the battle, it's faith. David said to his brothers, "God doesn't need a sword to save. He just needs someone who trusts him." This is the story of David and Goliath. A story of courage, faith, and believing that no problem is too big when you trust in God. So next time you face something scary, remember, David, you don't have to be the strongest. You just have to believe that God is bigger than your giant. Dear viewers out there, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel for more. Also like and share the video to your friends and family. Bye for now.
A long time ago, in the hot, dusty lands of Egypt, the Israelites, God's chosen people, were suffering. They were slaves under a powerful king called Pharaoh, who forced them to work day and night. They cried out to God for help, but far away, in the quiet wilderness, a man named Moses was living a peaceful life as a shepherd. He had once lived in Pharaoh's palace, but now he took care of sheep and goats in the desert. One ordinary day, something extraordinary happened. Moses saw a bush that was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. As he approached to take a closer look, he heard a voice from the fire.
"Moses, Moses."
Moses, surprised, takes a step back.
"Yes, here I am."
"Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your ancestors. I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt, and I've come to rescue them. I am sending you to bring them out."
"But who am I to go to Pharaoh? What if they don't believe me? I'm not a good speaker."
"I will be with you. I will give you signs to show them, and your brother Aaron will help you speak.
So Moses obeyed. He packed up, said goodbye to his family, and set off for Egypt to face the mighty Pharaoh. Moses wasn't alone. God sent his brother Aaron to help him speak, and together they walked into Pharaoh's court with courage in their hearts.
Pharaoh, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, "Let my people go."
Who is this Lord that I should obey him? No, I will not let Israel go.
Instead of listening, Pharaoh made things worse. He gave the Israelites even harder work. The people were discouraged, but God told Moses to keep going. To show Pharaoh that God was real and powerful, God sent miraculous signs and plagues to shake Egypt and give Pharaoh a chance to change his heart. Aaron throws his staff down before Pharaoh. It turns into a snake.
My magicians can do that too.
Pharaoh's magicians threw their staffs, and they turned into snakes. But Aaron's snake swallowed the others. Pharaoh still refused. Then came the first plague.
"Let my people go, or this river will turn to blood."
Pharaoh said no. Moses struck the Nile with his staff.
Go away.
God sent frogs in beds, ovens, and even in the palace.
Make them go away, and I'll let the people go.
But when the frogs were gone, Pharaoh changed his mind again. Next came gnats that covered everyone. This was the third plague. But in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, everywhere was peaceful. Then swarms of flies filled the air, except in the land where the Israelites lived. There it was peaceful and clean. This was the fourth plague. Then God sent sickness that killed Egypt's animals, but none of Israel's animals were harmed.
No, I will not let them go.
God sent painful boils on the skin of Egyptians. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained hard as he laughed scornfully. Then Moses met Pharaoh again.
"If you do not let God's people go, hail will fall and destroy everything."
The hailstorms smashed trees, crops, and homes, except in the land of the Israelites.
This time I've sinned. You can go.
But once again, when the hail stopped, Pharaoh broke his promise. Then came locusts, eating every green thing left.
Forgive me just this once, and I will let your people go.
But when the locusts left, Pharaoh hardened his heart again. But in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, everywhere was peaceful. Then God sent darkness. For 3 days, the Egyptians couldn't see a thing, but the Israelites had light in their homes.
Leave, but your animals must stay.
We must take everything with us to worship God.
Get out of my sight. Don't come back.
You will not see my face again.
Pharaoh had many chances to do the right thing, but he kept choosing pride and power over kindness and obedience. God showed his mighty power to protect and rescue his people, even when things seemed impossible. This story reminds us that even when life is hard or unfair, God sees, God cares, and God acts in his time. It also teaches us the importance of listening to what is right, softening our hearts, and trusting that God can do great things through ordinary people, like Moses and like us.
When God is with you, You don't have to be afraid.
So remember, no matter how big the problem or how strong the Pharaoh, God is greater, and he always hears the cries of his people. And that was the beginning of Moses' ministry. Please subscribe for more.
A long time ago, in the land of Canaan, lived a young man named Joseph. He was 17, full of dreams, and dearly loved by his father Jacob. So much so that Jacob gave him a special gift, a colorful robe. Joseph often wore the vibrant, colorful robe wherever he went, but his brothers watched with frowns.
Joseph, you are special to me.
But Joseph's older brothers were jealous. To them, he was just a spoiled dreamer.
Last night, I dreamed that my bundle of grain stood up, and your bundles bowed down to it.
Oh, so now you're our king?
And then I had another dream. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed to me too.
Even Jacob was puzzled by these dreams, though he quietly kept them in mind. But the brothers? Their jealousy turned to anger, and they betrayed Joseph. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields. When they saw him coming,
"Here comes the dreamer."
Let's kill him.
No, just throw him into this pit.
Reuben hoped to rescue Joseph later, but while he was gone, a caravan of traders passed by.
Let's sell him instead. We'll make money and be rid of him.
They sold Joseph for 20 silver coins. The traders took him to Egypt. The brothers dipped his robe in goat's blood and lied to their father that he was devoured by a dangerous animal.
This is Joseph's robe. My son has been torn apart by a dangerous animal. Oh, my God.
And Jacob mourned Joseph bitterly and would not be consoled. Meanwhile, Judah, one of the brothers, left home and started a family of his own. Judah married and had 3 sons, namely Onan, and Shelah. Judah's oldest son, married a woman named Tamar. But was wicked in God's eyes, and he died.
Marry your brother's widow and have a child for him, so his family line continues.
But Onan didn't want to. He married Tamar, but made sure she couldn't have a child, and God saw this and took his life too.
Tamar, go live with your family. When my youngest son, Shelah, is older, he'll marry you.
But Judah had no intention of keeping his promise. Time passed, and Judah's wife died. Tamar heard Judah was traveling nearby. Tamar saw that Judah wasn't going to give her Shelah, so she came up with a bold plan. She disguised herself in a veil and waited by the road.
Let me be with you.
What will you give me?
A young goat.
Leave your seal, cord, and staff with me until you send it.
Judah agreed. Later, when he sent the goat, she was gone. Months passed, and then...
Judah, your daughter-in-law Tamar is pregnant.
She must be punished.
I'm pregnant by the man who owns this seal, cord, and staff.
Judah looked and realized the truth, that he had messed up, that he was responsible for the pregnancy.
She is more righteous than I am. I didn't give her my son, Shelah.
Tamar gave birth to twin boys, Perez and Zerah. And even through this messy story, God was still working out his greater plan. While Judah's story unfolded, Joseph's journey in Egypt took many twists and turns. He became a servant in the house of Potiphar, a powerful Egyptian.
Joseph, you are wise and honest. You're in charge of everything I own.
But trouble came again. Potiphar's wife tried to tempt him.
Joseph, come with me.
No, that would be a sin against God and your husband.
Angry, she lied and said Joseph attacked her. Potiphar had Joseph thrown into prison.
Lord, I don't understand, but I trust you.
And Joseph began to interpret dreams in the prison. Even in prison, God was with Joseph. He met 2 of Pharaoh's servants, the cupbearer and the baker, both troubled by dreams.
In my dream, I saw a vine with 3 branches. I squeezed grapes into Pharaoh's cup.
In 3 days, you'll be restored to your position.
I had 3 baskets of bread, and birds ate from the top one.
In 3 days, Pharaoh will take your life.
Everything happened as Joseph said, but the cupbearer forgot him for 2 whole years. Then came Pharaoh's dream and Joseph's rise. Then Pharaoh had 2 strange dreams: fat cows eaten by thin cows, and healthy grain swallowed by dried up grain.
Who can tell me what this means?
There's a man in prison, Joseph. He interprets dreams.
This brought Joseph before Pharaoh.
I hear you can explain dreams.
He can't, but God can.
Joseph explained. The dreams meant 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine.
Store food now, during the good years. Then you'll survive the famine.
Who else has the Spirit of God like this man? Joseph, you will oversee all of Egypt.
In one day, Joseph went from prisoner to prince. He stored grain and saved many lives, including, soon, his own family. From betrayal and pain, to wisdom and honor. From broken promises, to redemption and hope. While overseeing the grains of Egypt, as the prime minister, Joseph got married and had twin boys named Ephraim and Manasseh.
God was with me even when I was alone.
Sometimes it takes brokenness to see what's right.
God used both Joseph's trials and Judah's failures to prepare the way for something greater. Even when we mess up, even when others hurt us, God is still writing a beautiful story. God works through broken people and broken moments to bring about his perfect plan. That was Joseph's story, part 1. Watch out for part 2. Please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. Years had passed since Joseph became governor of Egypt. The land was now deep in a famine, just as God had warned in Pharaoh's dreams. But Egypt had food because Joseph had prepared. Back in Canaan, Joseph's father Jacob and his sons were hungry. The brothers sat around with worried looks. The fields were dry. Jacob asked them why they were just sitting looking at each other.
I've heard there's grain in Egypt. Go there and buy some for us, so we don't starve.
It was indeed a difficult time, so 10 of Jacob's sons traveled to Egypt to buy food. But Jacob kept Benjamin, the youngest, at home. He was afraid of losing him, just like he had lost Joseph years ago. Benjamin was his consolation at the time. When the brothers arrived in Egypt, they bowed before the governor, who was really Joseph, their long-lost brother. But they didn't recognize him. Joseph, however, knew them immediately. As the brothers bowed, Joseph watched them silently, eyes wide, holding back emotion. Joseph asked them sternly, "Where are you from?" And they replied, "From Canaan. We've come to buy food."
You're spies. You've come to see where our land is weak.
The brothers were shocked and afraid. Reuben pleaded, "No, my lord. We are honest men. We are 12 brothers, the sons of one man. One is no more, and the youngest is with our father." Joseph thought to himself, "They still think I'm gone. But do they regret what they did?" It was an emotional moment, but Joseph hid his emotion. Joseph put them in prison for 3 days. Then he told them,
Leave one of your brothers here. The rest of you can go home with grain. But bring your youngest brother back to prove your honesty.
The brothers whispered among themselves, not knowing Joseph could understand their language.
This is happening because of what we did to Joseph. We saw his distress when he begged us, but we didn't listen.
Joseph listened keenly, without letting them realize. Then Joseph turned away and wept. He cried silently in a corner and then composed himself again. He regularly inspected them to know how they were faring. He kept Simeon in Egypt and let the rest return home with their sacks full of grain, and secretly their money returned. He kept an eye on Simeon. The brothers returned to Jacob and told him everything. When they opened their bags and found their money inside, they were afraid. Jacob, holding the grain, looked worried and lamented. "You've taken Joseph from me. And now Simeon is gone. And now you want to take Benjamin too?
Everything is against me. I promise I'll bring him back. You can hold me accountable.
So Reuben convinced the father to release Benjamin to him. Eventually, when the food ran out again, Jacob let Benjamin go. The brothers returned to Egypt, fearful but determined. It was another dreadful moment to confront the governor of Egypt. When Joseph saw Benjamin, he was overwhelmed. He invited the brothers to a feast. Still, he didn't reveal who he was. Joseph sat at the head of the table, watching Benjamin with teary eyes. He enjoyed the moment, but with a heavy heart. Joseph gave Benjamin 5 times more food than the others. He wanted to see how the brothers would react. Were they still jealous? But this time, there was no ill reaction from his brothers. Then Joseph tested them again. He hid his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. After they left the city, his steward caught up with them. The steward accused them, saying, "Why have you repaid kindness with evil?"
"My master's silver cup is missing."
The brothers were stunned. They hadn't taken anything. But when the cup was found in Benjamin's sack, they tore their clothes in grief and returned to Joseph. Judah fell before Joseph and pleaded,
"Please, my lord, take me instead. Let Benjamin go back to our father. If he doesn't return, our father will die of sorrow."
So, everybody was sorrowful. At that moment, Joseph couldn't hold back anymore. He cried out, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" The brothers were stunned, their eyes wide with shock. They were speechless, terrified, unsure what Joseph would do. Then said Joseph gently, "Don't be afraid. Don't blame yourselves.
God sent me ahead of you to save lives. What you meant for harm, God used for good."
Joseph hugged his brothers, especially Benjamin. He wept with them, and joy filled the room. Joseph and Benjamin embraced. The brothers gathered around, smiling, wiping tears. Joseph, smiling, said, "Go back and bring our father. Tell him everything."
There's still 5 years of famine left. Come and live here where there's food and safety.
It was unbelievable. The brothers returned to Canaan with amazing news. Jacob couldn't believe it. Joseph was alive, and soon the whole family would be reunited in Egypt. Jacob felt as though he was dreaming. This story reminds us that even when life feels unfair or painful, God can use every moment for something greater. Joseph chose forgiveness instead of revenge, and through his grace, a broken family was made whole again. Maybe you've been hurt, or maybe you've made mistakes. But like Joseph and his brothers, there's always a chance to choose forgiveness, healing, and a new beginning. This was how Jacob's family migrated to Egypt. Watch out for the part 3 of this story. Please subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. In the land of Canaan, the old man Jacob, also called Israel, was about to make the biggest journey of his life. His son Joseph, whom he thought was dead, was alive. And not just alive, but the second most powerful man in Egypt. A terrible famine had swept across the land, but now there was hope again. Jacob gathered his whole family, his sons, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, and all they owned. Over 70 people packed up and started the journey to Egypt.
Lord God of my father Abraham and Isaac, please guide me. I'm afraid to leave the land you gave us.
That night, God spoke to Jacob in a dream.
"Jacob, don't be afraid to go to Egypt. I will make your family into a great nation there. I will go with you and I will bring you back again."
With courage in his heart, Jacob continued the journey. When Joseph heard his father was coming, he rode out in his royal chariot. Joseph, leaping from his chariot, shouted, "Father!" Jacob, with tears in his eyes, replied, "Joseph, my son, you're alive." They hugged tightly and wept for a long time. It was a beautiful moment after years of pain. Father and son were together again. Joseph brought 5 of his brothers to meet Pharaoh.
What do you do for work?
We are shepherds, just like our ancestors.
Pharaoh then said to Joseph, "Let them settle in the land of Goshen. It's perfect for their flocks." Pharaoh also gave Jacob a warm welcome. Joseph made sure his family had everything they needed. The famine grew worse. People from all over came to Egypt for food. Joseph wisely managed Egypt's grain, exchanging it for silver, livestock, and land to keep the nation going. An Egyptian farmer even gratefully expressed to Joseph, saying, "You have saved our lives. We will serve Pharaoh." Joseph's wise leadership helped Egypt and his family survive the hard years. Years passed. Jacob was now very old. Before he died, he blessed each of his 12 sons, speaking a special message over each one. To Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, he gave a special blessing too.
May the God who has cared for me bless these boys. May they grow into a great people on the earth.
Then, Jacob made his sons promise to bury him in the land of his ancestors. And soon after, Jacob passed away peacefully. Joseph wept over his father. Pharaoh allowed Joseph and all his brothers to travel back to Canaan to bury Jacob. Egyptian officials and soldiers joined Thema grand funeral procession, then declared Reuben,
"Father is home again."
After the funeral, Joseph's brothers were afraid. They thought Joseph might now take revenge for what they had done to him long ago. So Judah said to Joseph, nervously,
"Joseph, before he died, our father told us to ask you to please forgive us."
Don't be afraid. I'm not God. What you meant for harm, God used for good. He sent me here to save lives.
Joseph comforted his brothers and took care of them and their families. He lived to see generations of children grow up. This story shows us the power of forgiveness, the beauty of family, and how God can turn the worst moments into something good. Joseph chose kindness over revenge. He trusted God, even in the hardest times, and in the end, love won. When life gets hard, remember Joseph's story. God is still working, even when we can't see it. And like Joseph, we can choose forgiveness, hope, and faith. So did the Israelites live peacefully in Goshen, Egypt, for many years. And this is the end of the series on the migration of Israel to Egypt. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Let me take you on a journey. Long ago, in the land of Israel, the people had once again turned away from God. Because of this, God allowed the Philistines' fierce and powerful Enemesto rule over them for 40 years. But even in those dark days, God was planning something amazing. In a quiet village in the tribe of Dan, God would show favor to a very nice couple. In this village lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They had no children, and that made them very sad. But one day, something incredible happened. A bright light shone. An angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife in the field. He said to her gently,
You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and have a son. Be careful not to drink wine or eat anything unclean, and never cut his hair. He will be dedicated to God from birth and will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines.
Wow, a man of God came to me, looking like an angel. I have to tell my husband.
She ran home to tell Manoah.
A man of God visited me. He said we will have a son, and he will help save our people from the Philistines.
That's great news. Lord, please let the man of God come back and teach us how to raise this child.
God heard Manoah's prayer, and the angel returned. Manoah spoke with him, wanting to understand what to do.
Please, what should we do to raise the boy properly?
Everything I told your wife, she must do. The boy must never eat unclean food or have his hair cut.
Manoah offered a sacrifice, and as the fire rose, the angel of the Lord went up in the flames, leaving the couple amazed and filled with awe. Manoah trembled.
We have seen God. Will we die? But if God wanted to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our offering or told us this wonderful news.
Time passed, and the woman gave birth to a baby boy, and the child grew into a giant. His name was Samson. He grew and waxed very strong, and the Lord blessed him with extraordinary strength. God's Spirit began to stir within him. Samson wasn't just any boy. He was chosen for a great purpose. He could go anywhere fearlessly, including the villages of the Philistines. Years later, Samson grew up strong and bold. One day, while walking through Timnah, he saw a young Philistine woman, and his heart leapt.
I saw a woman in Timnah. She's the one I want to marry. Get her for me.
Can't you find a wife among our people? Why must you marry a Philistine?
She's the one I want, replied Samson. His parents didn't realize that God was using this moment to create a plan that would bring trouble to the Philistines. One day, Samson demonstrated his divine strength when he killed a lion with his bare hands. This happened as Samson walked alone, and suddenly a lion leapt out roaring. Samson clenched his fists. Then, God's Spirit came upon Samson, and with his bare hands, he tore the lion apart like it was nothing. Samson met his father again, without even showing a sign that he had just fought a lion. So, he didn't tell anyone what happened, not even his parents. Samson returned to marry the woman, and he still met the lion's carcass. When Samson walked by where he had killed the lion, he noticed something strange. Bees had made a hive inside it, and there was honey. Samson scooped out the honey and ate it, sharing some with his parents without telling them where it came from. At the wedding party, 30 Philistine men arrived to celebrate with Samson. So Samson asked them a riddle, saying,
I have a riddle for you. If you can solve it in 7 days, I'll give each of you fine clothes.
But if you can't, then you give me 30 sets of clothes. Tell us the riddle, the Philistine men said to Samson curiously, with a sly grin.
Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet.
They couldn't figure it out. For days, they struggled. Then, they pressured Samson's bride to get the answer. They threatened, find out the answer from your husband or we'll burn you and your family. Samson's wife pleaded to Samson, you don't love me. You won't even tell me your riddle's meaning. She cried day after day. Finally, Samson gave in and told her. She told the men. On the 7th day, the Philistine men simply said to Samson, what is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson was very angry and replied to the men,
If you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle.
Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed on Samson again. He stormed into a Philistine town, defeated 30 men, and took their clothes to pay his debt. Furious and betrayed, Samson went back to his father's house, leaving his bride behind. And her father gave her to another man. Samson was a man of great strength and deep flaws. He often acted out of emotion, but God had chosen him for a reason. Through every choice and mistake, God was setting the stage because Samson's story wasn't finished yet. Samson stood alone on a hill, looking out over the Philistine lands, obviously imagining what to do to them in order to save his people. Even before Samson was born, God had a plan for him. His story reminds us that God can use even our struggles, emotions, and broken moments for a greater purpose. God can bring strength from weakness and light from darkness. Just like he did with Samson, he can do it with us too. God has a purpose for you no matter where you've been or what you've done. Trust his plan. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Bible stories made simple, real, and full of hope. Dear viewers out there, welcome back to the story of Samson, God's chosen warrior with incredible strength and a big purpose. Samson was set apart even before he was born, but as he grew older, things didn't always go the way people expected. Today, we'll see what happens when anger, love, and betrayal all collide in his life. At this point in the story, Samson has already married a Philistine woman, but things didn't end well. Now, he's returning to see her again, hoping to make things right. But what happens next will set off a powerful chain of events. Samson came back to visit his wife during the harvest season, hoping to bring her a gift and see her again. When he got there, he knocked on the door and said,
"I've come to see my wife. I brought a gift for her."
I thought you hated her, so I gave her to your best man. But wait, her younger sister is even prettier. You can marry her instead.
Samson was furious. He felt betrayed and humiliated.
This time, no one can blame me for what I do to the Philistines.
So Samson caught 300 foxes, tied them in pairs by their tails, and attached burning torches to each pair. The foxes ran through the wheat fields of the Philistines, and their fields were completely destroyed. When they found out, the Philistine men shouted angrily.
Samson did this because of what happened to his wife.
They were so angry that they burned Samson's wife and her father alive. Samson was deeply grieved and vowed,
"If this is how they act, I won't stop until I've taken revenge."
Samson left and hid in a cave. The Philistines came looking for him. They told the men of Judah to hand him over. But one of them sneaked to him and said to him,
"Samson, don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What are you doing?"
I'm only doing to them what they did to me. Just promise, you won't kill me yourselves.
So they made a deal. The men of Judah pretentiously tied him up and brought him to the Philistines. But as the Philistines ran to attack him, the ropes on Samson's arms snapped like burnt thread. Samson saw a donkey's jawbone, picked it up, and began fighting. He shouted,
"With a donkey's jawbone, I made donkeys of them. 1,000 men. I struck them down."
After the battle, Samson was exhausted and very thirsty. So he prayed,
"Lord, you gave me this victory, but now will I die of thirst and fall into the hands of my enemies?"
God split open a hollow place in the ground, and water flowed out. Samson drank, revived, and his strength returned. One night, Samson went to the Philistine city of Gaza. The Philistines found out he was there, and they set a trap. The Philistine commander whispered to his men,
"Lock the city gate. We'll wait until morning, then we'll kill him."
They shut the city gate and posted guards, thinking they had him trapped. But Samson had other plans. Samson quietly stepped out of the house and walked toward the city gate. It was midnight, and he walked straight to the locked gate, ripped it off its hinges posts, and Alan lifted it onto his shoulders. He was going to do an unbelievable thing. He carried the city gate all the way to the top of a hill near Hebron, leaving the city wide open and its guards humiliated. The young Philistine men came in the morning scrambling up the hill, shocked and scrambling to retrieve their gate.
How did he carry it this far?
This was Samson's message. No trap, no gate, no army could hold him. Not when God's strength was with him. Years passed. Samson judged Israel for 20 years, but his weakness wasn't strength, it was love. One day, he fell in love again with a woman named Delilah. But Delilah wasn't loyal. The Philistine rulers offered her silver if she could find out the secret of Samson's strength. So she said to Samson,
"Samson, please tell me, what makes you so strong? How could someone tie you up and make you helpless?"
"If you tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings, I'll be as weak as anyone else."
She tried it, but when the Philistines came, Samson broke free easily. So they retreated in fear, shouting,
"It didn't work. He's still strong."
"You lied to me. You don't really love me."
This happened again and again. And finally, Samson gave in. He said to Delilah,
Okay, now I will tell you. My strength comes from my hair. If my hair is cut, I'll lose all my power.
Delilah waited until he was asleep, then cut off his hair. Then she shouted,
Samson, the Philistines are here.
He woke up, but his strength was gone. He said to himself,
I'll escape like before.
But the Lord had left him. The Philistines captured Samson. They blinded him and made him grind grain like a slave. But slowly, his hair began to grow again. One day, during a great celebration in a temple, the Philistines brought Samson out to entertain them. Samson whispered to a young lad,
Place my hands on the pillars so I can lean against them.
And then Samson prayed his final prayer.
Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more. Let me die with the Philistines.
Samson pushed with all his might. The temple shook, the roof collapsed, and in his final act, he defeated more enemies than he had in his whole life. Men and brethren, strength isn't just in muscles. Discipline is an inevitable ingredient. Samson's story is full of big moments, power, battles, even love and loss. But the real lesson is about what happens when we rely on Godand, what happens when we don't. Samson was chosen by God and given incredible strength, but when he gave in too much to his own desires more than God's plan, things fell apart. Still, even in his lowest moment, when he had lost everything, he turned back to Godand. God heard him. No matter how far we fall, it's never too late to return to God. He sees our hearts, and He's ready to strengthen us again. God doesn't need perfect people. He needs willing hearts. This is the concluding part of Samson's story. For more Bible videos, please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. Long ago, in the land of Israel, things were not going well. The people had forgotten God's ways. Because of this, a powerful enemy named King Jabin of Canaan ruled over them. He had a cruel commander named Sisera, and his army had 900 iron chariots. The Israelites were afraid and cried out to God for help. But God already had a plan, and it started with a wise and courageous woman named Deborah. Deborah would soon come into the scene to help the situation. Deborah was a prophetess, a judge, and a leader. People came from all over Israel to ask her for wisdom and help. She listened, prayed, and gave guidance. She was known for her faith, kindness, and strength. She encouraged the people, saying,
The Lord sees your troubles. Be strong and trust in Him. He will send help at the right time.
One day, God gave Deborah an important message. It was time to stand up against the enemy. Deborah called for Barak, a brave Israelite warrior. He arrived, looking serious. Then said Deborah to him,
Barak, the Lord commands you. Take 10,000 men and go to Mount Tabor. God will give Sisera and his army into your hands.
I will go, but only if you go with me.
I will go with you. But because of the way you're doing this, the Lord will give victory not to you, but to a woman.
Barak gathered his army, and Deborah went with him. They climbed Mount Tabor, ready for the battle ahead. Down in the valley, Sisera heard what was happening. He gathered his chariots and soldiers, confident he would crush the Israelites. Sisera's chariots lined up like a sea of iron. Deborah and Barak stood on the mountain, looking down. Then said Deborah to Barak,
Go, Barak. This is the day the Lord has given Sisera into your hands. Hasn't the Lord gone ahead of you?
Barak charged down the mountain with his men. As they ran into battle, God sent a great storm. The rain poured, and the ground became muddy. The chariot wheels got stuck. Sisera's powerful army was confused and trapped. There was storm, Sisera's soldiers were slipping, their chariots stuck, and Barak's men surrounded them. Barak and his army defeated every one of Sisera's soldiers. But Sisera, the commander, ran away on foot. Sisera was so tired and dirty, and he ran to a quiet tent in the countryside. He came to the tent of Jael, a woman whose husband was at peace with King Jabin. Sisera thought he would be safe there. Jael stepped out of her tent, welcoming Sisera with a calm smile. She said to Sisera,
"Come in, sir. Don't be afraid."
Sisera stumbled into the tent, exhausted. He said,
"Please, give me some water."
"Here, drink."
Instead of water, she gave him warm milk and covered him with a blanket. Then Sisera started feeling sleepy and asked her,
"Stand at the door. If anyone comes, tell them I'm not here."
Sisera fell into a deep sleep, and while he was sleeping, Jael did something bold and shocking. With quiet strength and courage, she drove a big tent nail with a hammer into Sisera's temple and pinned it to the ground. So the enemy commander died, and that ended his terror. Later, Barak came by, still searching for Sisera. Jael stepped out of her tent and said to Barak,
"Come, I'll show you the man you're looking for."
That day, God gave Israel a great victory. The people were free from fear. King Jabin's power grew weaker and weaker until he was completely defeated. Deborah and Barak stood before the people, singing and celebrating. To thank God for his victory, Deborah and Barak sang a beautiful song. It praised God, honored brave leaders, and remembered the courage of people like Jael.
When the leaders lead and the people willingly follow, praise the Lord.
Deborah's song reminded everyone that true strength comes from trusting God and standing up for what is right, even when it's hard. It was another peaceful time for Israel through Deborah. Because of Deborah's courage and obedience, the land of Israel had peace for 40 years. Deborah wasn't a warrior. She didn't ride a chariot, but she had something even more powerful: faith, wisdom, and courage. She listened to God and led with a strong heart. And Jael, she wasn't a soldier either. But when the moment came, she stood up with boldness and did what was right. Sometimes, God uses unexpected people to do great things. People just like you. So remember, you don't have to be the strongest to make a difference. You just have to be willing, brave, and faithful. That was the story of Deborah and how she delivered Israel from oppression. For more of such Bible videos, please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. Sometime in the ancient times, in the land of Israel, the people had forgotten about God. Again, they began worshiping other gods and doing whatever they wanted. So God allowed a group called the Midianites to take over. Every time the Israelites planted crops, the Midianites would come and steal everything: livestock, food, even their homes. The people were scared, hungry, and hiding in caves. The fields were dry, families were scared. The Midianites were burning the tents of Israelites. Humanly speaking, it was hopeless. After 7 long years, the Israelites finally cried out to God for help. And God, who never stopped loving them, had a plan. That plan started with a man named Gideon. Gideon wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a leader. In fact, he was hiding, secretly threshing wheat in a winepress, an unusual place to do it, so the Midianites wouldn't find him. An angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." And Gideon was startled and looked around and responded,
"Me? How can the Lord be with us? Look at everything that's happened. Where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about?"
Go in the strength you have. You will save Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you. Gideon was confused and hesitant.
"But I'm from the weakest family in my tribe, and I'm the least important one in my family."
I will be with you.
Gideon wanted to believe, but he was afraid. So he asked for a sign. He prepared food and placed it on a rock. The angel touched it with his staff, and fire sprang up, consuming it. Gideon fell to his knees, amazed, and cried out,
"Oh, no. I've seen the angel of the Lord face to face."
But the Lord said, "Peace be unto you. Do not be afraid. You will not die." It was time for action, and this action was to start in Gideon's own home. That night, God gave Gideon his first mission to tear down his father's altar to the false god Baal and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Gideon sneaked out at night with 10 friends, looking nervous but determined. He was scared of what the townspeople would do, so he did it at night. In the morning, the people were furious, shouting angrily,
"Who did this? Who tore down Baal's altar? Bring Gideon out. He must die." Surprisingly, Joash, Gideon's father, stepped out boldly and said,
"If Baal really is a god, let him defend himself."
From that day, Gideon was known as Jerub-Baal, which means, "Let Baal contend with him." Nevertheless, Gideon wanted to be double sure that he had the backing of God. Soon, the Midianites and their allies gathered to attack. God's Spirit came on Gideon, and he called the people to join him. But Gideon still needed assurance. He knelt down and prayed, saying,
"Lord, if you really want to use me to save Israel, show me a sign. I'll put this wool fleece on the ground. If the fleece is wet with dew but the ground is dry, I'll know you're with me."
The next morning, just as he asked, the fleece was soaking wet, but the ground was dry. Then he said again, nervously,
"Let me ask once more. This time, make the fleece dry and the ground wet."
And again, God did exactly what Gideon asked. Now, Gideon was ready. One of the strengths of an army is the number of soldiers available and ready to fight. So, Gideon gathered 32,000 men to fight. But God had other plans. God spoke to Gideon and said, "You have too many men. If you win, Israel might think they did it on their own. Tell the people, anyone who's afraid can go home." In response, thousands of men left the camp, some hugging Gideon before they left. 22,000 soldiers left. Only 10,000 remained. Yet God said they were still too many. He asked Gideon to take them to the water and watch how they drink. Some knelt down to drink. Others scooped water with their hands. God told Gideon to keep only the ones who scooped water with their hands. That left just 300 men. Gideon's eyes were wide in disbelief and wondered, only 300? It was time to actualize the long-awaited dream. That night, God said, "If you're still afraid, go down to the enemy camp and listen." Gideon and a servant sneaked through the darkness, hiding behind rocks. A Midianite soldier was whispering to a friend soldier, saying,
"I had a dream. A loaf of bread rolled into our camp and knocked over a tent. That can only mean one thing. Gideon will defeat us."
Gideon's eyes lighting up with courage said with assurance, "It's true. God is with us." Gideon needed only torches and trumpets to achieve victory. Gideon returned, filled with courage. He gave each of his 300 men a trumpet, a jar, and a torch. He said to his men, whispering,
"When I blow my trumpet, you blow yours. Smash your jars, hold up your torches, and shout, 'A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!'"
Gideon's men surrounded the Midianite camp quietly. Trumpets blast. Jars smashed. Flames burst into the night. All 300 men shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!" The Midianites panicked. Confused and terrified, they turned on each other and ran. Gideon's men chased after them, but many Midianites already fled. So, with just 300 men and the power of God, Gideon defeated a massive army, and Israel was free once again. The people gathered, cheering in joy, fields blooming again, families rejoicing. The people wanted to make Gideon their king, but Gideon refused, saying, "No, I will not rule over you. The Lord will rule over you. For the rest of Gideon's life, the land had peace. The story of Gideon reminds us that God can use anyone, no matter how small or afraid they feel. Gideon didn't think he was strong enough, but with God, he became a mighty warrior. When life feels overwhelming, when you feel unqualified, remember, God doesn't need a big army. He just needs a willing heart. That was the story of Gideon and how he defeated the Midianites to deliver Israel. For more of such Bible stories, please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. It is another Bible story time. Welcome, friends. Today's story comes from the book of Judges, chapter 9, and it's about a man named Abimelech, a man who wanted power so badly and was willing to do anything to get it. But be careful what you wish for. Let's begin. Once upon a time in the Shechem city of Israel, the fields were peaceful, and townspeople were going about their daily life. After Gideon, also called Jerubbaal, defeated the Midianites, Israel had peace for many years. Gideon had many sons, 70 in fact, because he had many wives. But one of his sons, Abimelech, was different. His mother wasn't one of Gideon's wives. She was a concubine from the city of Shechem. Abimelech wasn't content being just one of many. He wanted to be king. Abimelech walked through the city, stopping to talk to the men of Shechem, saying,
Listen, my mother's people, should all 70 of Jerubbaal's sons rule over you? Or just one man? And remember, I'm your own flesh and blood.
The leaders of Shechem liked what they heard. Abimelech was one of them, and having a king from their own town sounded good. So they gave him money from the temple of their god, Baal-berith, and with that money, Abimelech hired some rough, dangerous men to help him carry out a terrible plan. Abimelech went to his father's house in Ophrah and killed all 70 of his brothers, his own family, on one stone. Only one brother escaped, Jotham, the youngest, who ran and hid. The people of Shechem crowned Abimelech king under the tree beside the pillar in Shechem. But word reached Jotham, and he wouldn't stay silent. Jotham stood on the side of a mountain, calling down to the leaders of Shechem below, saying,
Listen to me, people of Shechem, and may God listen to you. Once upon a time, the trees wanted a king. They asked the olive tree, the fig tree, and the grapevine, but they all said no. Then they asked the thorn bush, and the thorn bush said, Come rest in my shade, but beware, fire may come out and burn the cedars. If you made Abimelech king honestly and in good faith, may you be blessed. But if not, may fire come from Abimelech and destroy you all.
Then Jotham ran for his life. His words hung in the air like a storm cloud waiting to break. 3 years went by. Abimelech ruled, but trouble was coming. God sent a spirit of division between Abimelech and the leaders of Shechem. They no longer trusted him, and soon they set up ambushes against him. In Shechem, a bold man named Gaal spoke to the people, saying,
Why should we serve Abimelech? Who is he anyway? We should serve the family of Hamor, the founder of Shechem. Let me lead, and I'll defeat him.
Not everybody welcomed Gaal's speech. Zebul, the city governor and a loyal friend of Abimelech, heard what Gaal said, and he sent word to Abimelech in secret. At dawn, Abimelech attacked. He set an ambush near the city, just as Zebul suggested. Gaal saw movement in the distance, and pointing, he said,
Look! People are coming down from the hills.
Zebul, smirking, said,
You're just seeing shadows. Where's that big talk now?
Soon it was too late. Abimelech crushed Gaal and drove him out of Shechem. But Abimelech wasn't done. He attacked the city of Shechem, captured it, and destroyed it. Then he sowed it with salt, so nothing would grow there again. Some of the people ran to a strong tower for safety, but Abimelech set fire to the tower, and 1,000 people died inside. Next, Abimelech went to Thebez and tried the same thing. The people there also ran into a strong tower. Abimelech came close, ready to burn it too. But this time, something unexpected happened. A woman appeared at the top of the tower, holding a heavy millstone. The woman dropped the heavy stone from the tower wall. It hit Abimelech on the head and cracked his skull. Abimelech, groaning in pain, then spoke to his armor-bearer, saying,
Quick, kill me with your sword. I don't want people to say I was killed by a woman.
It was a shameful thing to Abimelech to die from the attack of a woman, and so the servant killed him, and Abimelech died. And that was the end of Abimelech. He tried to make himself king, but he did it through violence, pride, and selfish ambition. In the end, his own actions came back to destroy him, and the people of Shechem, they were judged too, because they supported his evil from the start. This story reminds us that how we seek power and success matters. When we act with kindness, humility, and respect for others, we build something strong. But when we chase power through lies and harm, it never lasts. So let's be people who lead with love and live with wisdom. Thanks for watching, and remember, every story in the Bible teaches us something we can use today. For more interesting Bible stories, please subscribe, like, and share. Bye for now. Deborah wasn't a warrior. She didn't ride a chariot. But she had something even more powerful: faith, wisdom, and courage. She listened to God and led with a strong heart. And Jael, she wasn't a soldier either. But when the moment came, she stood up with boldness and did what was right. The Israelites were afraid and cried out to God for help. But God already had a plan, and it started with a wise and courageous woman named Deborah. Deborah would soon come into the scene to help the situation. Deborah was a prophetess, a judge, and a leader. People came from all over Israel to ask her for wisdom and help. She listened, prayed, and gave guidance. She was known for her faith, kindness, and strength. Three signs you've been brainwashed in the church. Number 3, if you respect your pastor more than your parents, wife, husband, or siblings. Note that it is your parents that brought you into this world. And in Exodus 20, you're advised to honor them. Wives, remember that your husband is your head, and your pastor can't marry you at the same time. Ephesians 5 advises you submit to your husband. Number 2, if you swallow every word of your pastor without cross-checking them. In Acts 17, the Bereans always searched the scriptures at home to know if Paul was saying the truth. Study the Bible on your own and ask the Holy Spirit to teach you. Number 1, if you're always itching to visit where they will see visions for you and prophesy for you. Jesus said that children of this world seek after signs. Also, the devil disguises as the angel of light to deceive people. Most of these prophets are fake and use demonic powers to see visions. After their prophecy, the problem remains or even gets worse. Know God for yourself and stop depending on anybody. Do you know more signs? Put them down in the comment section. Please subscribe, like, and share for more. Three worst messages they've preached to you in the church. Number 3, if you don't pay your tithe, you'll go to hell. This is a lie. Deuteronomy 14 shows that tithe is meant to provide food for the priests and the poor. Go read it yourself. Number 2, sow a seed into the life of your pastor, and if I be a man of God, by this time next year, you'll ride your car. This another lie. It's not written anywhere in the Bible. God is not a money doubler. Number 1, raise your smartphone, and I will command miracle money into your bank accounts. This is high-level idiocy. Where will the money come from to enter your account? Do you think that God is a thief that will move money from bank's reserve into your account? In Deuteronomy 28, God promised to bless the work of your hands, not to steal money and give to you. Go read it yourself. Can you list more brainwashing messages you've heard? Write them down in the comment section. Let's decolonize people's mentality. Please subscribe, like, and share for more.
If you tie me with 7 fresh bowstrings, I'll be as weak as anyone else.
She tried it, but when the Philistines came, Samson broke free easily. So, they retreated in fear, shouting,
"It didn't work. He's still strong."
You lied to me. You don't really love me.
This happened again and again.
This time, no one can blame me for what I do to the Philistines.
So Samson caught 300 foxes, tied them in pairs by their tails, and attached burning torches to each pair. The foxes ran through the wheat fields of the Philistines, and their fields were completely destroyed. When they found out, the Philistine men shouted angrily.
Samson did this because of what happened to his wife.
They were so angry that they burned Samson's wife and her father alive. Samson was deeply grieved and vowed,
"If this is how they act, I won't stop until I've taken revenge."
Samson left and hid in a cave. The Philistines came looking for him. But Samson had other plans. Samson quietly stepped out of the house and walked toward the city gate. It was midnight, and he walked straight to the locked gate, ripped it off its hinges posts, and Alan lifted it onto his shoulders. He was going to do an unbelievable thing. He carried the city gate all the way to the top of a hill near Hebron, leaving the city wide open and its guards humiliated. The young Philistine men came in the morning scrambling up the hill, shocked and scrambling to retrieve their gate.
How did he carry it this far?
This was Samson's message. No trap, no gate, no army could hold him.